In today's video, we are going to be talking about the best game modes in Anime Vanguards. We will perhaps be ranking all of the current game modes that exist in Anime Vanguards and figure out which is the best, the most unique, and also the most rewarding game mode out of all the game modes that we currently have. So this is going to be a pretty interesting video. Stay till the very end. Alright, so the criteria is how unique it is, how good this game mode is in general, and also how rewarding. It's three simple criteria that we're going to be ranking all of the game modes that we have in Anime Vanguards currently. And yeah, let us get started with number 8, which is X Stage. Now, X Stages has received a lot of hate in Anime Vanguards as of late. Right now, there's only 2 X stages in the game, the GGX stage and the AOT X stage. Both of these stages have received a lot of negative feedback, and a lot of the things that people are saying about this game mode is mostly about how difficult it is. GGX stage was supposed to be extremely difficult. The Attack on Titan X stage, which is the recent one, is not as difficult. However, in order for it to actually be decently doable, or for it to actually be somewhat less annoying or more convenient, you needed to have either a Monarch Kaguya, Monarch Yuhaba, or you needed to have the new units in the update. You needed to have Eren, you needed to have, or sorry, not Eren, the new Attack on Titan units to be able to clear that stage easily. And for a lot of people, that was the problem with this game mode. It was too inconvenient, and apart from it being inconvenient, it was also too annoying for a lot of the people. So the AOTX stage is pretty annoying, and it is probably the worst game mode, or at least the least well-received game mode that they have. However, there is hope for this game mode, as it might be receiving a feature that the #1 game mode in this game right now currently already has. And X Stage might actually receive a massive glow up in the next update of Anime Vanguards, which is update 8. But right now, it's the most hated, perhaps the most disliked game mode of Anime Vanguards. And most of that is because of how difficult or inconvenient it is. It's not really difficult, it's more so inconvenient, right? At number 7, we have PvP. Truth is, people don't really play tower defense games to play against other players. And also, apart from this, the PvP in Anime Vanguards is mainly just spawning enemies, and then the other guy also spawning enemies against you. So it's a pretty repetitive and boring game mode, all things considered. It is unique, but the problem with Anime Vanguards PvP is it's just not what people play Anime Vanguards for, and apart from that, it's also not really rewarding. So this game mode is pretty much dead now. I don't know if there's still people that plays PvP apart from for the Byakin quest. But right now, PvP is pretty much a dead game mode. Not that many people play it because, again, it's not really that good. Also, it's not even very rewarding. Now we're gonna move on to number 6, which is going to be Odyssey. Now, Odyssey is a really fun and unique game with tons of modifiers and cards. However, the main problem with Odyssey is how repetitive it can be and what it's made for. So basically, Odyssey was made for familiars to obtain the currency required to reroll, on which is important for trading them eventually. You could get corrupted shards here, phoenix shards, I believe, all of which are useful for familiars. The problem with this, however, is it's extremely repetitive, and you have to do it over and over and over again to get not even a lot of the currency. So it's not really very rewarding as well, unless you do it for hours upon hours upon hours. So yeah, I do understand that it's for balance reasons, which is why Odyssey is like this, but it makes Odyssey a pretty repetitive game mode. However, it is one of the more unique game modes of Anime Vanguards. If the rewards for Odyssey was a lot better, in my opinion, it would probably be the #1 game mode. But the problem with Odyssey is the fact that it's just too repetitive for me to put it any higher, and also it's basically just for familiars. It's made specifically only for familiars, and I do hope that the main thought behind Odyssey is used in some other game mode, because it honestly is pretty good. The next one is going to be raids. So far, the raids in Anime Vanguards has been pretty unique. However, the raids, especially the Seed raid in Anime Vanguards, are pretty annoying. The Seed raid, for example, has the most powerful familiar in the game, but it's locked behind a pretty low drop chance of 1% or 3% in the Nightmare difficulty, which is both extremely annoying to do, especially without using Informal, which is an advanced macro, or having Escanor Monarch. Unique game modes that are hard to do or annoying game modes are fine unless you have to literally do it hundreds of times, which is what the Seed raid is, right? You have to do it hundreds of times, since the most important familiar in the game is behind this raid, And yeah, it's extremely annoying if you don't macro or use Escon or Monarch. But because of just how rewarding the Sid raid is and also how unique these raids are, it's pretty high on this list, right? It's, in my opinion, it's rewarding because again, Sid raid is there and you can also get some rerolls from raids, but it's also pretty unique, right? It's also a unique game mode that you can do. There's a lot of unique mechanics in this raids most of the time. Like the Sid raid, for example, has a pretty interesting mechanic. The previous raids in Anime Vanguards have not really been very interesting, but the Spider raid, the Spider Forest raid, did have a pretty unique mechanic, which is the Tangle, I believe it's called. But it was back then, back when AV was still pretty young, so it wasn't as complicated back then. Then Tracks at the Edge of the World is also pretty annoying, to be honest. This is one of the most annoying game modes in the game, but they are pretty unique, right? If you're just gonna take a look at how unique these game modes are, they are more unique compared to the other game modes in the game, and they're also more rewarding than X Stage, PvP, and Odyssey, right? They're more rewarding than those game modes. And in my opinion, probably more fun to play as well, but it is just pretty annoying, okay? It's pretty annoying. At number 4, we have Rifts. Now, the reason why Rifts is higher than Raids is because Rifts, in my opinion, is more rewarding. It has some of the more interesting units in Rifts, right? Rifts has Yuhaba and Astolfo, both of which are pretty interesting and powerful units. Yuhaba is actually still one of the more powerful units in the game. Rifts is, you know, pretty important because of just Yuhaba and Astolfo, but also because Rifts is a fun challenge. It's a great challenge without it being too difficult, right? Rifts is, in a way, one of the hardest game modes in Anime Vanguards without it being annoying, right? X Stage is a game mode that tries to be very hard, but it ends up just being too annoying, in my opinion. But Rifts is a game mode that you can go to test your units, and most of the time the benchmark for units is whether or not they can solo Rifts, because Rifts is a hard game mode that we often try to do solo in order to test out how good our team is. And yeah, Rifts is pretty rewarding as well because of the rerolls that they can give. The thing that's holding Rifts back, in my opinion, is it takes you 4 hours to be able to do a single Rift. But there's a lot of things they could do with Rifts, in my opinion. And if they could probably reduce the timer for Rifts to maybe 1 hour or 2 hours, it would be significantly better. It not being as annoying as Raids, in my opinion, saves it a lot because, again, people play these tower defense games to grind, and we don't like annoying game modes, right? We don't want to farm hundreds of hours, hundreds of stages doing the Sid raid just to get like 3 burbs or 5 burbs. It's extremely annoying. That's one of the main reasons why Raids is below Rift. It's because it's too repetitive and it's too annoying to grind. At number 3, we have Worldlines. Worldlines, in my opinion, is a great take on a game mode that has been done already in some other games where you climb a tower of sorts for rewards. However, Anime Vanguards just implements this game mode extremely well, being able to balance it pretty well and keep it fresh by adding unique weathers that forces you to change the units you bring, unless of course you have Sangjinu Vanguard or Kaguya, or as a matter of fact, any Vanguard for that matter. It's still pretty interesting and unique as a game mode. It also is pretty rewarding, and on top of that, it has some of the most interesting units as a reward upon completion. So that is why Worldlines is pretty good. It really does make you change the team you're using, especially if you're past like floor 50. It will make you change the team you're using if you want to get really high. Worldlines is just unique, and the unit rewards is also pretty great in my opinion. It's pretty unique. Like in comparison to other non-Worldline units, like for example, Jinmore is pretty unique. That is pretty unique as well. All these other units that are from Worldlines are all pretty unique in my opinion. Even Mark, right? It's pretty unique. Then at number 2, we have Boss Rush. Now, Boss Rush is extremely unique. I don't think any other game has done Boss Rush before Anime Vanguards added it. And if they did, they definitely did not add it to the same quality that Anime Vanguards added Boss Rush. It's pretty unique, but it's F2P and extremely rewarding as well. I mean, this is one of the game modes that people farm a lot for rerolls. It's pretty nice with the exception of the anime Attack on Titan raid, or Boss Rush, It's extremement annoying. That Boss Rush is extremely annoying and it just sucks. But it's still a pretty great game mode regardless. The Boss Rush is a pretty unique addition to Anime Vanguards, and it's also one of the best ways to earn rerolls, and not just rerolls but also other currencies like gold. So Boss Rush is extremely rewarding. It's really fun and unique, and it's also in comparison to other games pretty unique. You know, I think Anime Vanguards was the first or one of the first game modes to add a boss rush. Now, the honorable mentions, we are going to talk about challenges, the most rewarding game mode in the game, but it's too common of a game mode to rank, in my opinion. I mean, all the games have challenges, so it's too common to add it. Portals is way too common of a game mode, and Anime Vanguard's implementation is not the best, nor is it the most unique implementation of Portals, in my opinion. It's still a pretty good game mode, but it's not enough to be ranked. Then you also have Legend stages. It's pretty simple and too plain for it to be ranked as a game mode, in my opinion. And yeah, that's pretty much the honorable mentions. Now to number 1, which is the best game mode in my opinion, it's probably going to be Dungeons, specifically the new summer event Dungeon. Now the reason why the new summer event Dungeon is extremely great is because it allows you to get the new Vanguard pretty easily, pretty relaxingly actually, and also it has cards. It's a pretty unique game mode because it allows you to change the way you play. You don't just place your units with this game mode, or it will allow you to, you know, pick whether or not you want to evolve your units. And also it allows you to test the new units in the game, the new units in the update. This is what I was talking about when I said that the X stage might have this eventually. If the X stages have this eventually, you know, being able to use the new units in the X stage, it will be very good, because imagine if we were able to use the Attack on Titan units in the X stage, like in the same way that we were able to use them in the summer event, it would be a lot easier for us to complete the AOT event, right? So it's pretty interesting, and I think if they keep doing dungeons like this, it's gonna be really great. A lot of people have been glazing the summer event because of how good it is in comparison to especially Portals. It's not even just the summer events either. It's also Portals. It's also Dungeons, in my opinion. Dungeons is a pretty great game mode in general, especially the solo leveling dungeon. The solo leveling dungeon was pretty unique in the sense that it allowed you to choose cards that would make your game mode either harder or easier, or it also allowed you to pick cards that would basically change the way you play, right? There were cards that would allow you to change the way you play. A specific card would allow you to place more units down. A specific card would give you free monarchs on all of your units. And yeah, it's just a very unique addition. Both these dungeons right now that we have in the game are pretty unique. I think the summer event does count as a dungeon because it does have the cards. But if it doesn't, then I don't know. But I think it does count as a dungeon. But yeah, that's pretty much all the best game modes in Anime Vanguard's ranked. If you disagree with my list, you are allowed to comment down below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and that's gonna be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and peace out everybody.